Hi, I'm Temple Hayes,
Hi, I'm Christina Jones.
and we are friends and colleagues on a journey. And both of us found ourselves discussing the power of the film My Mom Jayne. And we just said, we want to share this out loud with you about a life with secrets and what that's like.
Yes, I was moved by your story. It's just moved and thinking about my own family story. The movie brought tears, but even before the movie, knowing what the movie was about, I was preparing myself. Yes,
Well,
see,
I just applaud Mariska Hargitay. I admire her immensely. I feel that she is a person that calls all of us where she uses her work to then make it make a difference in community and with other people. And that film, I've watched it more than one time, and it went to my core. It brought up that rawness. And so I was telling you, Christina, because when people see anyone in public life, they just assume, I would think, I know I have with other people, like, oh, you're just been training and then you step into a certain platform and look at you and easy breezy lemon squeezy. And no, that is a lot of times difference makers, which is my line of work. Being a difference maker is about people that have had to look at the differences within their own psyche, within their own soul, and it makes them more, not less, if they are being awake and committed to doing so. So
yeah,
I was telling you in the short of it that when I was about 10 years old, that I felt like something was off in my family system. I tried to talk to my grandmother, my religious grandmother, about it, and she said, "We don't talk about stuff like that." And I'm like, "Well, who do we talk to? You know, where do we go?"
yeah.
Um, but my mother rode to work with my father's sister's husband, and they rode back and forth to work for years. And I remember having little energy feelings when I would see them together, but that was kind of it. Anyway, to shorten this story for our purpose today, I'm walking down the road with my older cousins, my uncle's daughters, and they said to me, "Your mom's name came up in court today." What? Why are they
Wow.
talking about my mom?
Yeah.
Well, because your mom is with my dad. What? My mother is with. Hmm. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was a defining moment for me. I can still smell the tar on the road.
Oh,
It's like life stopped as I knew it. And in that secretive space of living in that, when I got sober in my going into my 30s, I was 20 something, I wanted to talk about stuff,
yeah.
because I wasn't in a sponge anymore, and
Yeah.
and nobody wanted to talk about it. All I knew is that at 11, I never saw my uncle again. Some
Mm.
people are still living, so I'm going to say spare their names, but we never heard from them again. It was gone. It was over. My mother almost got beat to death by my aunt. They sent me one place, my brother another, and nobody talked about it. So at going into 30, I'm like, can we talk about this? Well, it's not important now, and nobody needs to know, because I grew up in the South. I'm still growing up in the South. That said, it was right after my mother's funeral that the truth came
Mm.
2 years ago that indeed it had happened, indeed it was true, and indeed it could have led to other things, but my mother was too concerned of losing her children. So, living in secrets,
Living in secrets.
living in secrets.
Yeah, we as adults, because there's so every family I feel now has secrets. I too grew up in the South in New Orleans, but I know that this is not a Southern thing. Um, I
Yes.
found out I had a half sister and a half brother around the time I was 9. And my mom
And you
did
had
not,
no clue.
no clue. And this is
Wow.
on my dad's side. And my mom married my dad. I was born 3 years later. Did not know until I was maybe 5, as what she told me, about the half sister. So they had been married 8 years. And he's like, well, we have this child support thing we got to handle. And she's like, what child support thing? So, they dated my parents did not get married in their 20s because back in the South, a lot of people got married. Well, back all over the country. Back in the 50s and 60s, people were getting married at 16, 17. My mother did not get married until she was 33.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, that was huge. She was vilified for not being with a man back then and had her own business and had me at 36. So
You
they
didn't
met.
fall too far from the tree, did you?
No, resemble much?
Oh my gosh, that is wild. Well, let me ask you, this is what is kind of coming up with me is that with the discovery, with things being revealed, do you feel that there was this consistent tension between your parents?
Oh yeah. I I know my mother felt betrayed. She was angry. My
Hmm.
mother did not hide her feelings, which is good and bad,
Yeah.
depending on where you are as a kid. But yeah, and I mean, I can you blame her? I mean, even in 2025, anyone finding out their spouse has ex-wife child support payments to pay after you've been with the person, not just 3 years, it's like 5 years.
Mm-mm.
And it's not like he was in his 20s. They were in their 30s. We're talking adults, you know. We're not, we're talking about two consulting adults who have built a life in a marriage, and you're thinking you're his first wife. Yeah, there was tension. I feel as I was with my mom the day before she left this planet, she was still mad. She was still, even though they got divorced, they were married for over 26 years, she was angry, and the fact that my
Hmm.
dad's side of the family said nothing. I mean, they all knew the same people. It was
Wow.
friends that got them together. So my mother was betrayed, even what she said, in her words, by other women that knew he had other kids and been married before. It's like, hello?
Wow.
Yeah.
So betrayed, so betrayed. And, you know, there was that energy with the secrets that your family carried. And then with me, it left my mother so scarred because I had referred to the fact that she had been beaten, okay,
Yeah.
with a broomstick.
Hmm.
We won't even go into the descriptions of those things, but that she had been severely hurt. And then they sent her away um, to Augusta, Georgia. And she had those barbaric shock treatments with the leather,
Hmm.
that
Yep.
that bizarre, like being a test.
Hmm.
And she, so much of her life was erased. So much of our lives were erased. Was my mom still functional? Yes. Was she changed at death, her affect? Absolutely. Affect. So in that in that energy, there was this constant anger because, it's like neither one of them at any level accepted any responsibility. I mean, back then in coupling. It's not like my dad said, I wonder what I did that led to that happening. It was hearing my mother being called names in the night, the anger,
Yep.
the ugliness, the shame that we all carried as children and in those years of growing up. And then with my dad, then it's like everything he did thereafter, domino effect of wrongdoing was, well, I did that because, 6 years ago, you're one to talk. You're a horrible person. And it's like, that's why in the years as a counselor or a life coach, when people will say, well, I feel so bad that we are, separating and I feel bad for our kids. And I go, well, there is another perspective.
Yeah.
If you're staying together for the wrong reasons,
Oh
um,
yeah.
your kids will carry that psychology, odds are, until whenever.
Yeah, my parents stayed together for the wrong reasons. And my mom, although I grew up metaphysical, my mother still had a Southern Catholic background. And her generation, my mom was born 1934. Yeah. Her generation, there was shame in the deep South
Mm,
and two of my mom's friends talk about secrets. Their husbands were gay and came out of the closet when I was 14. My mom had the talk with me. Now I grew up in the French Quarter in New Orleans, that whole Vieux Carre area, so I grew up with immense diversity. But I was still shocked, going, and I could say her name, she's passed on. Aunt Teresa, she said, my friend is devastated. They've been married since they were 15. So
yeah.
I saw secrets and then I saw because I knew the kids. I'm like, holy cow. So for me growing up, I was like, I had a problem. It probably wasn't until my late 30s, early 40s with my now husband. It's taken me over 40 years to trust the man
Mm,
because the secrets I saw, which now I see was on both sides, it was male and female, but it was a lot of men that I mean had not little secrets, huge life changing, financial altering secrets, and no one like you get this. They forget about the kids. Like, hello,
yeah.
little person right here seeing all this. And and my parents, because my dad cheated a lot on my mom, and my mom was the one that didn't want the divorce because she was just like, well, sometimes you just deal with things.
By not dealing with them.
I'm
That's
not
exactly, yeah. The Lord will take
like,
care of it, they say. Oh, yeah, sure.
yeah,
And that excuses you from any reality check there. That's for sure. I mean, after my mother died, um, it was one of those unplanned incidences. I don't remember if I told you this, but I had made an appointment with a medium um, psychic individual. I've been doing that all my life. And I had heard about this woman, and I thought her name is Mary Hayes, and she's amazing. And I thought, for whatever reason in my mind, when I was making this appointment, that she was going to talk to me about new things I was going to be doing in California, you know, and the
yeah.
appointment had to be made way in advance.
Hmm.
And that being said, so when we get on the Zoom call months later, and how are you? And I'm Temple Hayes, and hi, and you're Mary Hayes. It's so nice to meet you. And I went, look, I just want to give you a heads up that if you're talking to me today about something, and I burst into tears, my mother died 10 days ago. And I didn't want you to think that, I was losing it because of something you said necessarily. But
Hmm.
I'm just very vulnerable. But it took so long to get this appointment with you. I didn't want to miss it. And
Hmm.
she went, "Oh, well, that's what I really do." And your mom is already here. And so she told me some things that if we do episode 2, we can go into that. But
Yeah.
she told me things that only me and my mom, maybe my wife, but that was it. So it was spot on, spot on. And you and I have talked about her before. But that being said, mom kept saying, tell my story. It's okay to tell my story. Temple, more women need to hear our story. And
Yeah.
you're so right, Christina. I mean, people say it's the man, it's that, oh, it's men do that. Oh, and I always say, look, I'm trisexual, I mean, bi or whatever. I've been there. Meaning, what I mean is, I'm not easy. I didn't say that. But I've had a relationship with a man and with a woman. And it's about your relationship with you.
Yes.
And that's what Mariska tore out with this My Mom Jayne is it's never too late. You can
Yep.
do it now. You can stop and do it now because if you don't stop and do it now, you're still doing it to
Yeah. You.
yourself, right?
Yep. Yep. I love the movie documentary. It was a lesson. It was a teachable lesson. I love that Mariska, she could have left the planet and kept this secret.
Hmm.
She's already famous.
Hmm.
She's already well known. I've loved her as an actress for
Oh
years.
yeah.
And it was so cathartic that I feel it's going to give other people permission to start talking about this because when it comes from someone at that level of fame, it shows that we're all human.
Hmm.
People put other people, like you said earlier, oh, you're doing this and you're doing that, so your life must be perfect. You probably didn't have any childhood drama, blah, 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 blah. Like, no,
Yeah.
everyone, because I believe when one of us heals, we all heal. And it takes this whole um fame that Hollywood people have off of that. Because some people are trying to live to these family expectations, thinking that they're other people's, oh, they have a perfect life. I don't. That's not true.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping other big names start sharing what are your family secrets, because that gives us all permission
Yeah.
to go that, because we bring that with us. That little child that's in us, he is still in there.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
still
Very,
with us.
very, yeah.
Yeah.
Very well said. Well, when in the film, um, I'm paraphrasing, um, but Mariska said, I just, I couldn't stand listening to her voice, my
Yeah.
mother's voice,
Yep.
and how she was. And it was like, wow,
Yeah.
that just, whew, it's like that was, my mother and talking slow and being on nerve pills. And it not only was it something like, use your voice, well,
Yeah.
come
Use your
on
voice.
now, step into a little power, here as an empowered person. Um, but it was also the nerve pills of
Yeah.
just being half asleep, So when she said that, I went, whoa, and and here people like you and me are now because, and I think that's important to say, relationships can teach us what to be,
Yep.
and the ones that teach us what not to be are ever bit as powerful
Yeah.
because look at your voice, look at my voice.
Yeah.
We'd rather be heard than herded, you know and so it has shape shifted an aspect of us. But that really hit home with me because there was a shame that I carried for the family towards my mother. I didn't think about it, I wasn't conscious of it, but it's like almost apologetic sometimes. I would introduce people to my parents because it's like there was that shielding, right? That energy because I just had had so much of that in my life.
Yeah. Yep. And it's amazing. I think about my own family dynamic with I'll see my biological family dynamic. There
Mm,
are still some people in denial that my was an alcoholic. I have I said, you are out of your mind. And then other relatives said, no, he was.
wow.
Why are you not listening to her till this day? So some of those people I've chosen not to even talk to. It's like, if I can't have it because you want to make like we're the Huxtables or something. No, stop the secrets. Stop the secrets that people like to put on the facade that the family's okay. And then it's like you turn on the light and all the bugs come out.
Yeah.
They run hiding. Yeah, it's just,
Or
and
they
it is
go to
about,
church. It's like, oh, please,
yeah, oh, I go to church and I
you
found the
know,
Lord or I found God. It's like, yeah, but you still have
you got to
children
dig,
who
you
are,
got to deal with you got to deal with the stuff.
yeah,
I'm thinking too that in one of these calls, and we're relying upon you as listeners to let us know how deep do you want us to go? Are there things you would like us to address? But one of the things I would like to have one of my colleagues, Judy Wilkins Smith, come on, and she talks about like the coding system, the emotional DNA of us as humans, how from generation to generation to generation we can carry things through, and I think that would make for some interesting conversation as well.
yeah,
But I feel um, I really love what you said that, when we have this awakening, um, there's that we are healed by what we turn towards, not what we turn away from. And people that are so quick to say, I don't deal with that, I don't deal with the past, I only live in the now. I'm not saying that some people haven't mastered that. I'm sure they have. But if you're one of those people and you're saying that just because you don't want to deal with it, believe us, you're still dealing with it. You're dealing with it because of the new characters in your movie, the new people in your movie that reject you and betray you, and even being as young as I am. Slide that in. I find, I have found I'm still learning. I'm still learning about relationship and these energies. And I'm not implying that we're haunted by this the rest of our lives. We're not. It's just a tool in our spiritual toolbox to be aware of it,
yes,
right?
yep, yeah. Well, they're all learning lessons. They're all on some level. We probably chose it from a metaphysical perspective. Don't want to get too out there, but yeah, there are lessons for us to heal, and as we heal, we help others
Hmm.
out, and yeah, the secrets, everything comes to light sooner or later. And my choice is either it's going to come to light in my physical body through some illness, or it's going to come to light when I wake up to it.
Yeah.
And I prefer not to have the illness or the two by four,
Yeah.
or, you wake up one day going, how come I keep manifesting a interesting mate or friends or debt or, any of those things? Well, if you go back, that's where it came from. And I believe our country has a lot of shame. I mean, there's so many secrets. A lot of us are healing on a deep subconscious level and ancestral wounds, especially
Oh, yeah.
women, especially women,
Yeah.
because women were told, especially, I mean, God, go back to even the 1940s and 50s and go way back, they weren't encouraged, sometimes not even by other women, to speak their truth. Other women weren't protecting other women. Just by you sharing the awful thing of your aunt beating your mom, a woman beating a woman. Did anyone beat the man?
Right. No,
See?
of course not.
Of course
An
not.
iconic hero. No, of course not.
Of course not.
You're so spot on. But it's very interesting because if we can, share this with other people in a way that they're identifying with the emotions. You
Yeah.
were shocked when I told you that.
Yeah, I was shocked.
You know, you were shocked because you're like, your perception, well, I don't want to speak for you. It's just that I could tell you were shocked because I had some horrible realities to overcome in my life. And and to me, like what you were saying, it cemented our sisterhood.
Yeah.
I became immediately closer to you because you had an empathy or something for me that you didn't understand why, but yet you did because you realized, oh, our stories are so similar,
Yeah.
right?
Um, yeah, my shocked was because I mean, I'm human. We all make up stories
Mm-hmm.
about certain things, and I was like, to have your mother, first of all, taken away.
Yeah.
Um, your dad being, you know, your dad being angry, the uncle, the aunt. I was shocked because I can almost sense the little temple.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the fact, what I know of you being so grounded, a coach, a speaker, a leader, like you could have gone the other way of being a drug addict,
Mm-hmm.
a, a severe narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm still having some emotion about it. It was just like, oh my God, like parents, even though I still make this mistake of putting them on a certain pedestal. It's like
Mhm.
they get so wrapped up in their shame, their anger, their fear, their rage, they forget there's little ones.
Mhm.
There's
I felt
little,
that for you. I felt that deeply for you, for what you were saying and what you've endured and the energy of that and the sadness. And you're so spot on too that I don't, I mean even in 2025 people forget or they don't want to look at it. I'm not really sure, or they're not looking at it within themselves that the kids they already know,
yeah, they know
but
something.
nobody's talking about it. And
Yeah.
so it shape shifts a child to not believe their own inner feelings, their own awareness, not feeling comfortable talking about things. The cycle just goes on and on.
Well, the sad thing too, I do not, just for the listeners, talk to my half brother. I did meet him, but it took from when I heard in the 80s. Yeah, in the 80s. I didn't meet him till 2013 because no one knew where he was, allegedly. I still believe that's BS. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when we did connect, he criminal past, all this other stuff. He tried to get his life together, but then went backwards. Our relationship that I was trying to build, it fell away,
Hmm.
and that was even though some relatives like, well, maybe you could forgive him. I said, no, he's dangerous. And it's not on me. It's like he's dangerous. And the sad thing is what broke my heart. My mom said, I see she met him in two, no, not 2013, 2003 is when I met him. She met him, my mother, my biological mother, that's not her son. She was so incensed because she said when I found out about him and how dangerous his mother was, criminal past, she begged my dad, we should take that boy to save
Mm.
him.
Wow.
Because yeah,
That
and
was huge of your mother.
yeah, and shut it down because my dad listened to his mother, my grandmother. So he had some wounding. He wouldn't listen to anyone else. He would say
Hmm.
my dad was a mama's boy, which caused his alcoholism. I'm very clear on that
Hmm.
now. But those secrets, my biological brother went by a different last name. So it took my dad leaving the planet the same time he was researching, finding out his real last name because his mother hid his birth certificate. Yeah,
Mm,
this is a whole other story, how he found me. And when I met him, I'm like, oh my God, you look just like my great grandmother. I mean, split an image. And I was like, you people knew about this? They could have saved his life.
yeah.
He could have been a totally different individual, but we'll never know. You know
And that's
that.
what secrets do, right?
That's, so the fact, and this is not to kiss, but I applaud the fact with what you went through. Just like my brother, he went one direction, but you went another direction.
Hmm.
That makes sense. So
Yeah,
these secrets, they open up this doorway that a child could either go one way or another. And it depends. Spirit is real. It just depends.
it's real. And so
Yeah.
I think it's important that we say that feel free to write in a comment thoughts you have, or if you would like more of this, let us know. These real conversations with real people. And if you know anybody right now that is willing to sit with your heart about secrets, either with yourself or with them, take the time, because if you don't take the time, you spend the time
Yeah.
delving, correcting, probing, learning, or, like some of us, in a whole lot of therapy.
A
So
whole lot, a lot of money in that.
I've loved sharing my time with you today.
Thank you. I adore you, Temple. Thank you.
I adore you too. I am so excited about so many projects that we're
Yes.
doing together. Indeed.